What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about Faraday Future, they did submit their earnings. I want to go over some of the good, the bad, and the ugly from that, and just what you need to kind of take away from all of it. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Faraday did go down on Friday 5.47%, which, given them submitting their earnings, wasn't all that bad because Friday was a massive bloodbath across the board. So I think them going down 5% is fairly acceptable. So once again, they did submit their earnings after hours on Thursday. They also did have a conference as well. Unfortunately, I didn't really listen in on that, but nonetheless, though, looking at their earnings, they did slim out. So I got to give them credit when credit is due. I'm not always hating on Faraday, but they did really slim down on their business. So G&A went down, R&D went down dramatically. Revenue kind of would have been improved, but at least they are pivoting. So I think given that they are pivoting in 2024 and that they were able to really accomplish those cost-cutting kind of measures pretty much across the board, honestly, that's deserving of a round of applause. So again, got to give them credit when credit is due. But there is some things that, as far as I wanted to bring up, that's maybe a little bit of a concern. One is this right here. So slide 12, it goes over global development. So I think initially a lot of people were very hyped up about Faraday's bridge. And so that was going to really help just as far as the transition into really like producing supply chain, just getting everything together. So given the new administration, where Faraday is working under, what their plans are, it isn't all that great now. So the fact that they are setting up supply chain kind of agreements for and connected to China, that's not good, because Trump did just place a 25% tariff. So this is what was laid out by Bank of America. So it goes over Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, fully like produced and also assembled in the States. That is key. Produced, and where's all the parts coming from? And so you can kind of see there's Geely, Mazda. A lot of it is obviously the parts are produced out of the States, just kind of pieced together. So when it comes down to Faraday, they would be on pretty much on the low end because they didn't even assemble the mules in the States. They did it in China, just shipped it over. So I think as far as tariffs, like you pretty much have to tack on 25% straight out the gate off of everything that Faraday does do. So when it comes down to them pivoting to that sub brand, you have to take that into consideration as well. So that's something that they did not really bring up in this earnings whatsoever. Even when they were talking on the future guidance, they didn't bring that up whatsoever. So but then again, I guess why would they? Because that's rather negative. But nonetheless, though, that's one thing that really did stand out to me, and that I feel like a lot of Faraday investors are actually neglecting, because that's a very big deal all in all. But getting right to the actual numbers. So as you can kind of see, based on the assets that they do have, as of December 31st, 2024, they have 7.1 million in cash equivalents, 27 million in inventory, and then short term, roughly around 37 million. So pretty good stuff overall. But even factoring in that they did slim down quite a lot, looking at how much they did lose from operations, it's roughly 30 million. So they do need money, and that's why they did recently announce that 41 million kind of deal that they did. So it's kind of an interesting scenario, but nonetheless, it is going to result in, I think, initially upfront 39.5, and then the rest is going to be just canceled debt. But they will need more money, and honestly, every 2 months pretty much from now up until the end of 2025, they will be needing more and more money. That's kind of the writing on the wall. But nonetheless, though, as far as revenue, it was somewhat in line with that. So they didn't actually break down, because this isn't a comprehensive earnings right here. It was very vague, and I think they did that on purpose. But nonetheless, though, looking at the revenue, I feel like there is more to it. So there was no appendixes, nothing for us to really see exactly the breakdown of this revenue, because in 2023, even though it did show this, they did cite a lot more sales, which they just coded it as R&D, consulting, and a lot of individuals, like kind of influencers, got free vehicles. So I feel as though the same type of happened with this, because for them to only realize 235,000, that goes to show that they did give away a lot of vehicles once again, but without all the detailed notes that they didn't provide in this earnings, we're kind of left in the dark. One thing as well that we're left in the dark with, which in reality is a extreme big deal, and I think unfortunately Faraday did leave it out on purpose, is the new outstanding share count. What was that as of December 31st? Because it doesn't state that in their actual earnings. So that is a very unfortunate thing. And like I said, just to play devil's advocate, and largely I've been right, you can't really trust Faraday's management in my opinion. I think they did leave that out on purpose. But then again, if you kind of read between the lines, logical investors would know that they are on the high end and that they have been diluting quite a lot through a lot of their notes. And again, that happens a lot. So essentially, them recently getting that proposal to raise the authorized share count, that does mean that they are, like I said, on the high end, but without any details, we are just at a big question mark. So I feel like that is exactly why Faraday went down 5%. So it went down 5% just because of the market wasn't really reacting to their earnings, because their earnings didn't really say anything. Like, it was nothing. It shows that they were, again, slimming down and that they did do that very successfully, but there's still a lot more questions that I myself have. So let me know your general kind of thoughts on Faraday. One thing, like I said, that a lot of Faraday investors are neglecting right now is this right here, the tariffs. That's going to play a very big part, because based on what they did state, I think it's a second slide or something like that, where it goes over the breakdown of the prices of their vehicles. You pretty much have to tack on 25%, like I said, for all of this. So the FX right here, so it has FX5, FX6, Super One. This is pretty much in reality going to be a write-off for the foreseeable future, but it is going to be this FX5 that is going to be the big moneymaker for Faraday overall, just again based on the price point between 20 and 30. The 30 to 50 could still be good depending on how they market and how they're able to really ramp up, but market right now is wanting cheaper. And not only that though, if you tack on 25%, that does kind of get this up there a little bit, right? So I think at the end of the day, Faraday does have a very good chance of at least succeeding in some aspects, but like I mentioned, it's all about timing. So if you're getting in now and you're anticipating to see a pretty good return on investment, regrettably I do feel like it is going to go down a little bit. But based on the recent SBA, like I mentioned in my last video, the fact that they did put a $1 clause on there goes to show that Faraday is going to fight like hell. They're going to claw, do anything, fight dirty to ensure that they are staying above $1, because as I shared with you, they need money. They desperately need money. So if they dip below $1, there goes all their financing, there goes everything. So they definitely do need to stay above $1, and like I said, they are going to do everything, pump, do interviews, they will do anything just to stay above $1. So that's kind of a positive thing in reality. So let me know your general thoughts on Faraday. What's your kind of takeaway from all of their earnings? Was there some things that really stood out to you as a very good positive, or were you somewhat like myself, more on the cautious side? So let me know your viewpoint. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend thus far. One final thing, if you're looking for some kick-ass buy signals, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worth the while to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.